Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leprechaun Alley. We are in Long Island, wanting to share astrology and philosophical conversation and hopefully feedback as well. My name is Ray Carey Perillo.
My name is Michael G. Perillo.
So the syllables that we're using in our names, they are part of what some individuals use, primarily with Jyotish, in terms of naming their children. So the seed syllable or birth syllable is just another way, just another sound, just to bring us closer into our bodies so that we're more connected to the things that we do in our lives and that we understand them better. So, okay.
Did you want to discuss any current events?
Yeah, well, I wanted to also discuss, by the way, I've been talking about this with Michael. I think that we're thinking of moving the show time to 2 p.m. instead of 1 p.m. Eastern Central Time because it does conflict with some of the other readers' presentations, and I don't want people to feel torn. So we're going to move starting next week. We're going to move the podcast to 2 p.m. Eastern Time instead of 1 p.m. And hopefully, I'll get in on Black and Orange Tarot's reading first before I come on. So we also wanted to discuss the services that we offer. If you click on the link that we put in the description, I'm still getting used to all of this. You click on the link that we put in the description. We can send you your birth name syllable. Just shoot off a quick email if you would like to do that. That's a service we provide. We can do personal live readings using Western and Chinese and Jyotish. You can tell us your preference, or maybe you need a cross reference, whatever you would like to do.
In other words, as soon as you enter the chat room, you make a request, and we will see it on our screen, and we'll give you our estimation of your astrological makeup on the basis of what you provide us in terms of the information that's requested. We have that on the
Right.
site, right?
Yep. When you enter the room, you just give us your birthday and year, and we will read for you live. But furthermore, describing the services that we offer, when you click on the link, the final service that we offer is a service called Soul Recovery. And that will be with me. I'm a soul recovery coach. It's a 12-week program, 3 months, either way you want to slice it, really going through an intense process of self-love and radical self-forgiveness, really, and bringing us to a place where we can sort of look at the world intact again. And it's one of those things that we've gone through. What I found was so amazing about it is that when I went through it, I never ever went back to the person I was before I started it. Whatever I got with it, it always stayed with me. So those are all the services that we provide. You can select the link, and we're always happy to take that journey with whoever wants to come.
What we hope to accomplish in these casts is to give a fairly good idea of how chart is interpreted by your ability to give us pertinent information. We can talk about you, and you can see how astrology is put to work. But given that we don't have anyone who has made a request so far, we will go on as we have in other podcasts. We'll talk about things that are current, things that are related. At
Leprechaun Alley.
Leprechaun Alley, which is our site. We hope to mix the conversation with many subjects that may or may not be directly related to the astrological, let's say, philosophy. For instance, we decided today to talk about an incident that took place between two celebrities.
Right, yeah, Will Smith and Chris Rock. Everybody's kind of talking about it. So it's funny because I wanted to weigh in on it, and Michael might not have the same feelings that I have about it. But these are two individuals that are really.
Well, first, describe the incident for those who don't know.
Right. So
this took place at the Oscars.
Yeah, it happened at the Oscars, and if you haven't seen the video, it was hard for me to watch. It was hard for me to watch because I adore both performers so very much. Like, I'm emotionally even talking about it. So what happened is, to the best of my understanding, Chris Rock was cracking a joke, and I think that it was heard. I'm not really clear if that was really how it was intended, but I think what was heard was something that was really insulting. Excuse me, this is another reason why we're going back a little further.
No, okay. You're saying it's insulting because you thought it was. I did
Well,
not
right,
think
right,
so.
right. And so, right.
I think
So,
Chris Rock was just being the comedy act that he is.
yeah, I didn't feel like the comment itself was out of line, and I didn't feel like he was bad intended at all, because there is, I mean, when
The
I
she,
first,
the she is the
Jada,
wife.
Jada, when I first heard the comment myself, what I thought was, because I was looking at Jada and all of it, I think she's gorgeous. She's a stunning woman.
I have a different opinion.
And
But Jada is
but no,
William
she's
Smith's
so
wife.
well,
Why don't
right.
we describe what went on here?
Well, that's what I'm doing. So
Yes.
Jada Smith is also someone who's very fit, and she was wearing sort of green, kind of a khaki color as well that night, and she has short hair. I didn't realize that she had alopecia, and I know as a woman that's a lot. She's a Virgo on top of it, so that really is rough on her. But what I thought, so when I first heard him, I thought he was making a joke because she's so fit. Demi Moore is also known for being so fit, and the short haircut. I felt like it was a compliment. I guess that's what I was hearing when he said it, but she didn't take it that way, and neither did Will Smith. And so, kind of what happened in that exchange. So Will Smith. So the three characters really now involved, because Will Smith also gave a bizarre closing when he won an award that night too.
What he did is he became outrageous.
Right.
He got up and
Right.
walked up to across the hall there, whatever it was, the assembly, and
Stage, yeah.
hit Chris Rock very hard in the
He
face.
slapped him, yeah.
And we would like to discuss, how does this play out when we look at their astrological signs?
Yeah, let's discuss it astrologically.
So we're going to give you astrology, but this time we're going to show you how we can interpret various qualities based on what we know of their astrological makeup. So what do we have? We have Will Smith, who is a Libra by sun sign, and he was born in the year of the monkey. Whereas with Chris Rock, we have the Aquarius Sun Sign, and the Chinese sign is the year of the snake. Now, how is it that the monkey was able to become aggressive enough to strike at the snake? According to China, the monkey loses against the snake. How is it that we saw the contrary take place? The snake behaved in a very controlled manner. It kept his dignity intact, while the monkey carried on exactly as we would expect a monkey who gets angry.
Right.
A monkey who gets angry becomes completely outrageous and undignified. Now, one of the qualities of the monkey is that they carry dignity.
Yes.
But the opposite is total outrage, total breakdown of character. And this is what we saw in William Smith.
Yeah, you normally don't see that in monkeys. You usually see them very self-contained.
Now, his month, William Smith's month, corresponds to the Chinese year of the dog, where Chris Rock's month corresponds to the Chinese month or year that belongs to the tiger. Aquarius, the tiger lives in the month of Aquarius, while the dog lives in the month of Libra. Now, if we were to look at the values of these two signs, well, the dog is considered a metal animal, while the tiger is considered a wood animal. So metal would have an advantage over wood. And that is what the dog aspect of his mind being ruled by the month, would overtake what the tiger would be driven by, and that is his mind is driven by the quality of wood or that a plant, that which grows. If we look at their years, however, the monkey is a metal sign in China, while the Taurus,
The snake.
Chris, what? Chris Rock,
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock is the month of is the
Year of the
year
snake.
of the snake, and in China the year of the snake is fire. Well, fire would control over metal. So, in other words, we have almost equal qualities, but dealing with the heart, we'd have to compare the monkey up against the tiger. The heart would be the year. Well, actually, no, we'd have to deal with the monkey versus the snake.
Excuse me, I wanted to introduce another because this was interesting. At first, so Jada Pinkett Smith is a Virgo, year of the metal pig.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith was actually kind of cool, going along with it and laughing, kind of interpreting it as not, I'm assuming interpreting it because he was still laughing. And once he saw Jada's face, her face fell. She's a metal pig. So maybe Will on his own, so there
Well,
was that
pigs
quality.
pigs do
Right.
not tolerate criticisms, and
No.
pigs will consider anything they don't
And so
like.
that came into play.
Pigs will consider anything they do not like as an offense, whether it was intended that way or not. So now we have a situation in which attitude takes over here. Chris Rock was doing his comedy as he has done for many, 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 many years. And no one is going to be surprised by his capacity to turn anything into a joke. So this, I thought, was unfair on the part of Smith and his wife to use that forum to get offended. Now, how is this fair? Who wins in this whole thing? On the surface, the dog will win over the tiger because the tiger will not act until it has certainty, while the dog has to commit. And so the metal conquers the wood. But in their hearts, which are more indicative of the year would be the quality that moves the heart. In that regard, we have Smith being the monkey, which is driven by metal, and Chris Rock is the heart. He's by the heart. He is the snake, because the year drives the heart, and the snake's element is fire. Fire will overcome metal. So how is this going to play out? Well, the monkey became outrageous, as we saw. We saw this. This is not something that astrology has invented just for these two characters. What I just explained about the qualities between the monkey and the tiger versus the months, which are the dog, versus the tiger. The year, did I just repeat the year twice?
It was 1965.
Yeah, the wood against the metal
Chris Rock
monkey,
is the wood snake,
and the quality of the tiger would be wood. The quality of the monkey, which is now we're talking about the months,
or
is
the
metal.
years. The years.
The years would be.
No, he's a monkey.
Oh,
so
the
we're
year,
talking
the
about
year is
the
monkey.
months.
The month.
We're
Right.
getting confused.
It's confusing because we have to convert. A month is for Will Smith is Leo, which corresponds to the monkey. No, Will Smith is a Libra, which corresponds to the
Yeah,
metal.
we have 3 players and a bunch of signs. Yeah,
Will Smith is the year of the
monkey,
monkey,
and he's a
which
Libra.
corresponds to metal,
Right.
and he is the month of Libra.
Also metal, naturally.
He's month of the monkey and
No, it's year of the monkey,
the
month of the dog.
The month of the dog. The monkey and the dog are both corresponding to metal. Whereas with Chris Rock, we have the snake year, fire, with the month that he's born, Aquarius, which is wood. So we have a slightly softer quality in Chris Rock than we do in Will Smith.
Even though he has a bigger potty mouth.
So how does this thing work out? Well, Will Smith had the advantage of having the force of metal to attack. Chris Rock reacted from his heart as would a tiger, which is not to act unless they know. Tigers will not do things unless they know what they are doing, what the challenges are. And because he is born in the year of the snake will stay put until they know that victory or movement are both possibilities.
Right.
Opportunities lie there. So my estimation is that Will Smith is going to have to watch out, because Chris Rock will eventually have his day.
Yeah.
And Will Smith will not be ready, because snakes strike when it's time for them to strike. They don't strike when someone tempts them, simply because they need to be in a position of power. And this is pretty much what we saw. We saw Chris Rock acting very humble, very controlled, did not cause a scene, went right back to where he was supposed to be, and that was that he was the host of the show. Whereas Will Smith carried on like a maniac after he struck Chris Rock, and then when he went up to get his award, he carried on one of the most obscene or maybe absurd kinds of acceptance reward speech, I should say, in which he said really nothing. It was an incredibly poor performance, which goes to show you what happens when metal loses its composure. It gets liquefied.
Right. Yeah.
And they become incoherent. You can't understand what they're doing or why they're doing it. And he went on and on and on and on and accomplished absolutely nothing. Whereas Chris Rock came out as a great champion in this whole thing. So here's a good example of how astrological signs will, how they would compare and how they behave. And this goes on all the time between people.
I mean, I ultimately, in a scenario like this, there are no real champions, because both of these guys are good human beings. Like, this is part of why our panties are in a bunch over. Some people are like doing the Jerry Springer thing with it, you know, but these are good human beings. These are good. Okay, so I know Chris Rock has his own scandal, but
I have to
he
disagree with
disagrees.
you
But
here.
I see them.
I saw Chris Rock as having qualities that were more tenable. He was able to keep his composure, whereas Will Smith went off the handle. And I would imagine that this is the way Will Smith deals with things that he doesn't like. Whereas what we saw with Chris Rock, how to behave when under attack, when he is put in a position of insult and injury.
Right. Well,
I wouldn't say they're both good gentlemen.
Good people have bad moments. They both. That's
true, but
you know, and that's what I think about. They've.
But I measure quality on the basis of performance and outcome, and I didn't see that good quality in Will Smith.
Sure, in that particular incident, in that particular moment.
Sorry to disagree with you. That particular incident is just a small scope of what is underneath. I don't see that as an accident. I see that is that was his preference. And Chris Rock's preference was to remain humble. And I thought I saw a tremendous difference between the two people. And now I got a pretty good idea of what to expect if I had to hold their company. That is it.
It's. I know Michael so well. So when he says stuff like that, the whole panorama comes up.
You're making excuses for one. I'm not making excuses for either one. All I'm saying is here's how they performed.
Well, no, I'm not making excuses for anything. I'm discussing.
And spontaneity pretty much tells you the underlying forces behind the character. That's what I have learned in my time of being alive. And I may not.
Spontaneous behavior, in the moment behavior, is definitely a reflection of what's underneath.
That's right.
However, that doesn't, because what's underneath, this is the thing, what's underneath is stress. Why, how, what have you, whatever frailties, whatever we've forgotten to do, whatever things we couldn't keep up with, all of the forms of denial, all of those things, they're all in there.
What type of monkey was
And it's well, he's an earth monkey. And
It's
so
an
that's why
earth
Chris
monkey.
Rock also had the advantage.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, that Chris Rock will eventually take over because the snake overpowers
Well,
the
he's going to
monkey.
be able to exploit the
Well,
situation.
the snake overpowers the monkey,
Right.
and Chris Rock is a earth and a wood snake. Now we say this because these elements have a value, and this is how you start to interpret personality. You're seeing this for the first time. This is not rehearsed. We're not going over what other people think or feel. We're going over by what we understand of the signs and how these signs are indicated according to their elements. This rock is born in a year that is ruled by by the snake, but it's the type of snake that he is born in is wood. Now remember, Chinese years go through 5 different elements. The quality of the snake is fire. So we have to remember that. While the quality of the monkey is metal. So fire has the advantage. Now, the year that Chris Rock is born in is in a wood year of the snake.
The 4s and the 5s, and he's a
Where
65.
Will Smith is born in the monkey in the earth year. And China says that wood overpowers earth. So we have a second condition under which Chris Rock will prevail. But we have to remember the tendencies of both. The monkey goes nuts. When they get angry, they lose total control. They become completely at the mercy of their anger. And so they become, in a way, outrageous, completely unfit to hold company around them. While the snake, on the other hand, stays put. They don't move in any situation where there may be uncertainty or the outcome could be dangerous for them. They will wait. They have patience. The monkey does not have patience. So now we see that Chris Rock has at least 3 conditions under which he prevails over Will Smith. But when we look at the immediate condition will be that Will Smith, as the month of the dog, and the quality of the monkey, let's remember, is still metal. However, Will Smith exercises that through the year of Earth. But the natural quality of the monkey is metal, and his month, which is dog, is also metal. Whereas when we go to Chris Rock, the natural element of the month, being that he is the month of the tiger, is wood, while the natural element of the snake, which is the year he is born in, is fire. But in the case of Chris Rock, he has to express that through his year, which is wood. So at first glance, you would say that Chris Rock is vulnerable, but not when we look at it over time. Over time, as the snake, Chris Rock has many more advantages against Will Smith, and we will expect somewhere in the future that something else will come up, and it will be Chris Rock who will have favor and who will probably win in whatever the contest that becomes. But he'll do it on his own time and on his own terms.
Yes. I wanted to just, by the way, say hello to Sylvia and Mo Runs. Oh, and Christine. Welcome. Oh, I'm so glad you guys made it. Thank you so much for coming. So we just thought we'd kind of make a little astrological commentary about all the chatter that's in the whatever.
Well, we showed you just from the complication of trying to remember. And we're doing this without any notepads in front of us. We don't have anything prepared. We're doing this straight out of our knowledge of what the astrological factors indicate. And this is something which we would do in all charts, because taking apart somebody astrologically requires time to find out what the values are and how these values are being distributed in the personality during the course of his daily life and his activity in life as he is exposed to other people and how they may fare. This is one of the things that we can do for you if you should give us not only your birthday, but also the birthday of someone that you have on your mind, trying to figure out whether you're very compatible or partially compatible, that we'll go through the same process, and it will be spontaneous analysis. We will not sit there and start comparing you to famous people and all of that, because they're overdone. Remember that when people are describing other
I
people,
may mention it.
well, when they're describing other people,
When it
they've
makes
done
sense.
that only after they've compared to the comments and through the
Oh shoot,
the
Christine.
values that other writers have decided to present.
Oh my.
We're not being
Give me 1 second to work it. You keep talking, Michael.
overwhelmed by or influenced by how other writers or other astrologers are analyzing. Keep in mind that astrology is a very subjective parascience. Subjective because it has to go through the mental process of the individual making the reading.
Go ahead and keep talking. Give me 1 moment.
And
I'm
now
gonna
this
try
reading sometimes can be very accurate because the parts are easy to either decipher or to remember, or that the parts that we're comparing are flow together much easily, I should say. But we will always tell you for the first time what our reading is, and it's not tainted by our personal subjective preferences, or at least we try not to inject personal preferences, such as you saw that Carrie and I were having when we introduced the two individuals, Will Smith and Chris Rock. And Carrie said that she happened to think Will Smith was a very nice character. I've changed my mind about him. First, I don't have any opinions about anyone until I've either met them or gotten to know them, something about them. But there's always in my mind, there's always some delay over reaction because I don't really know them personally to a degree where I can conclude anything. I tend to remain analytical. And of course, then I have to go by what I am witnessing. And what I have witnessed is that Will Smith has a bad case of temper, and he goes overboard. Not only did he get up and strike Chris Rock, but after he sat down, he went on screaming and yelling and making very, very terrible statements, cursing at Chris Rock, when Chris Rock said nothing to him, nothing, not a word. And to me, it seemed that the monkey was completely out of control. I consider that part of his makeup because nothing was said by anybody to warrant that kind of behavior. Literally overdone. When he was done, you had to say to yourself, this was not at a level that required this. So he was being disingenuous. He was using the opportunity to attack someone using his wife as the basis upon which he took offense. It seems hard for me to believe that I would take offense if someone attacked my wife in that manner. I would expect that my wife had the fortitude and the strength to represent herself. And if there was physical harm, then I would definitely interject.
Honey, you wouldn't protect me if someone was mean to me? I can't believe it.
If someone was mean to you, but I didn't see Chris Rock being mean to anyone. And I saw Will Smith completely outraged over nothing. And this to me tells me about the person's character, which supersedes any astrological analysis. Just because we do astrology doesn't mean that we can qualify someone as being gentle or being cruel. These qualities come out in the human being according to their spontaneous way of dealing with pressure. And that tells you a lot about the individual. If they cannot deal with pressure
At the time, yes.
when there is so little pressure applied, that tells me that this person has a chip on their shoulder or something of the sort.
Michael is also, he has a different approach to things. So he's very firm in what when he presents something, whatever he sees, it is what he sees it is in that moment, and he is attached to that idea.
But I provide a basis. I provide a basis at all times. I don't just make a statement like,
Oh,
"Oh,
I
he's
don't.
so nice."
No, I don't think so. I don't think so
I don't
either.
say statements like that. I don't make those kind of statements. I'll say, "Here's
Uh-huh.
how he delivered something.
No, because you
Here's
don't,
how
because
what it meant
right,
to me."
you wouldn't make a statement like that, which is my
No,
point, because
no,
that's not the orientation you
because
would come
I'm
from.
searching for the truth. I'm not searching for something that
So, right.
pleases me.
And so other people use other orientations to search for the truth
Well,
too, and that's why what they have to say is valid.
when you react like he's so
I know that
nice,
you don't think so, but
when you
that's
say something like he's so
other people are
nice,
valid.
that is not searching for the truth. That is something out of your own nature that's coming through. Because you don't have a reason to say he's so nice, as you don't know that person personally.
Right.
You can only go on the basis of the way someone behaves, and certainly in a forum where there's so many dignitaries, there, actors and producers and writers and you name it. And this is the way this man conducts himself when he's supposed to be orderly and dignified and presenting himself at his
Well,
best.
it's just
He got up there as if he was the only ruler. He was the only voice in the whole
in
room.
53 years of his life, he gets up on stage and he's going through a difficult time in his life and he acts like a jackass. I certainly would
What are
indicate
you talking about? Do you know what this guy's life has been like?
I'm
It's
talking
been one
about
of luxury for the last 12, 30 years.
yes, but that doesn't make him devoid.
It gives him a lot of reason to
Okay, so here you're
protect.
going to see Michael is right, and that's it.
You said 50 years
I
of
mean,
his life.
I haven't even said anything, but
50
he's
years
right.
of his life, you would think he would want to uphold that quality that other people perceived in him, and not to destroy it in 3 or 4 minutes of TV time in which he should have shown a little bit more character.
Yeah. So very different generation as well.
Well, Chris Rock didn't behave like that. How do you join the two forces when you try to analyze personality? If you say
But I
Will
don't
Smith,
understand the question that
well,
you're
if Will
asking me.
Smith is such a nice guy and he behaves like that, what do you say about a guy like Chris Rock?
I say that Chris Rock is a nice guy also.
Oh, they're equal. I don't see them as equal. I
Well,
saw
I
a
understand that.
tremendous
Well,
disparity.
I hardly really said anything except for a couple
Well,
of comments.
And they're
And
not accounting for
3
the,
words is a whole
but they're not they're
digression. So,
dismissing the disparity between the
well,
two
I actually,
individuals.
I'm not.
I didn't say you
And
were
I'm,
anything.
and
This is not about you.
right. Well, what I'm saying is, I'm the one that was making the point, making the position is that,
Okay, whatever.
but I won't.
I gave astrological reasoning
Okay.
behind what I said, and I also gave I thought
You did.
a fairly good example of how one character tried to protect and
You did.
maintain his orderliness, while the other one was vicious and
In the moment, yes, he
vulgar
was.
and vulgar. At the moment is an eyeglass into the whole. One little hole. If you look inside of it, you'll see the bigger panorama on the other side. And that's all that I did. So much for Will Smith and Chris Rock. Is anything more you want to say about the subject?
Plenty.
Well, I've said what I needed to say. You want to say something more?
So my concerns and my thoughts about this when I first saw this, because they're from my generation. I was born in 1970, so they're much closer to my age than Michael's. They could be Michael's children.
That doesn't change astrology.
So what my thoughts were about it overall is these two particular figures. Chris Rock had mostly had a little scandal, primarily for him, it's infidelity. He's very honest and upfront about it, which I really appreciate about him. Very truthful. I've always experienced, whenever I've watched Chris Rock be a comedian, for me, when I listen to how he characterizes his life or characterizes, his jokes or feeds his jokes or however he does it, for me, I've always felt that he has an incredibly humane flavor. Even when he's at his crudest, there's a certain humane flavor that he has in his humor. For me, it feels humanitarian. He's important In our culture, he's particularly important. I feel, and I guess it's not really my place to say this, but it's my understanding, especially in the African American culture. Um, he speaks his voice. He speaks for people that aren't heard, that haven't been listened to. He represents a form of maleness to me, that I'm evolving, I'm broken, I'm screwed up, I'm going to put it all out there because y'all have to fix yourselves. That's been my impression of Chris Rock. My impression of Will Smith has been that he's wholesome, that he's entertaining, that he's funny, that he amuses himself, and this is, part of the monkey, that, he takes care of his stuff. He can entertain himself. He doesn't need other people to validate who he is. He just is who he is out loud. So, and he also represents an important, he's an important figure in the African American community, because of all of the negative things that were said about African American men and African American parenting and families. And so he represents a nice father, a wholesome person, someone who cares and loves his family and is doting on them. I think we go overboard. We do too much. I want to be too nice, and I want to be too, and so what happens when that situation, when you're trying to be super nice guy, you break, you snap, you lose your shit. That happens to nice guys all the time. But from my perspective, my basis for saying that they're nice people is because they don't shove themselves in your face unless they're performing. Otherwise, you basically don't hear about them because they're just not like that. That's been and it could have something to do with the elements as well, right? Because the wood is going to be more underground and the earth is going to be more underground. And there was something else.
The earth hides.
Right, the earth hides.
That's why I look at Will Smith as a very devious and disrespectful person. Okay. And that is my conclusion.
I mean, that was incredibly disrespectful.
The signs lean in that direction, and certainly we saw that play out in real life. I just reported what is astrologically validatable, that you can validate this just by looking at the signs and what they indicate, and then we look at Will Smith and how he behaved. And he had a need to defend his wife when his wife was never been under attack. Some jokes were made, but they were lighthearted, as almost all of Chris Rock's.
Well, I think you know what? I think you know what? Better that he embarrassed himself. He still saved his wife the embarrassment.
What do you mean he saved his wife? He did nothing for his wife. That's not the way you defend your wife.
Well, I didn't say
you want to defend your wife the best that he could have done.
Good always comes out. There's always a silver lining.
If he wanted to defend his wife, he would have got up with his wife and left the audience. Period.
There's always a silver lining.
They would have left the hall, and that would have been the way to deal with his wife. That's not the kind of man I saw.
Saturn.
What about Saturn?
So
you mentioned Saturn. Will you tell the audience what you mean by Saturn?
No, Saturn is stern. Like what
does that got to do
with
the
Saturn disposition?
Saturn indicates lessons that take a long time. So what do you mean Saturn? What are you trying to say by Saturn?
No, I'm saying that your moon is in Danishta, in Capricorn. That the Saturn, the stern. There's this way to do things. That's your approach.
I didn't get stern. I simply stayed true.
He's bad and he's good.
My knowledge of astrology,
right.
Carrie. There wasn't one personal iota of a thought against Will Smith versus Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I simply gave the information on the basis of what
everybody else would do.
Earth monkey versus a wood snake. That is all I did. The earth monkey being Will Smith. For those who do not know, we mentioned that the monkey's quality is metal because in China we have elements that belong to the animals, elements that belong to the years. The animal is said to contain that element because it tries to behave in the likeness of that element. So when we say that the monkey is under the element of metal, it means they want to shine. And the monkey corresponds to the month of Leo, and Leos want to shine. They want to coming across as brave, as the heroes, as the people who carry the torch all the way. But when we talk about the element of the year, it is the manner in which the monkey must conduct that quality of shining. And in the case of Will Smith, he is born in the year that belongs to Earth. So this shining quality is hidden by the Earth, and he does a good job of hiding that. But the opposite of this very cool and casual and such a brilliant metal person, it's hidden under the Earth. And what do we get under the Earth? We don't know until there's an explosion, and then we see what comes out of the Earth. And this is exactly what you saw with Will Smith. There's no personal feeling of mine over Will Smith conducting himself in a very vile manner. In any event, I understand that we have someone who has made a request, and that's one of the primary reason we're here. So we'll continue this discussion of Will Smith and Chris Rock after we have dealt with a request from us.
You're seeing a very heated generational divide right now.
Oh, I don't feel very heated at all. You think I'm heated? I don't see it at all. But anyway, go ahead. Let's get on to our guest.
So this is Mo Runs. It's her son. And her son is born 6/9/1985. So it's June 9th,
June 9th, 1985. This is a very interesting combination. It's a very
handsome fella.
Well, it's considered in China to be a very balanced combination between East and West. The month belongs to Gemini, which belongs to the year of the horse. The year, which is primary in reading a Chinese astrology, the year is the year of the buffalo. And the buffalo corresponds to the month of Capricorn. Now, when we say it corresponds, what it means is that each of the Chinese year have a preference in one of our months. There are 12 years in the Chinese years, and there are 12 months, and we pair one year to 1 month. The combination then is to interpret how the month and the year get along. According to the philosophers of the East, the horse has a lot of energy, is very proud, is very gallant. At its perfect side, it is movement and perfection. As we look at horses, they look as if they are dancing. They move with such elegance, with such self-esteem. They're very,
for the most part, my experience has been that a lot of Gemini buffaloes have long legs. They tend to be.
Well, anytime you
they're
have
longer in general, longer limbs.
Anytime you have the bovine,
not all the time, but
bovine animals like deer and cows.
Oh, I bet he has beautiful eyes.
They have beautiful eyes and slender, long legs. But that's not the primary thing about the buffalo.
No.
The buffalo is, according to China, situated in the month of Capricorn, which in the United States we call that year the year of the ox. But the Chinese call it the year of the buffalo. Now, when the Chinese astrology was brought to the United States by Admiral Perry, who was a maritime was not a general, but I'm trying to remember what the Navy colonel. He brought the Chinese astrology. He learned it in Japan. Japanese astrology is the same exact astrology as Chinese astrology. So he brought the Chinese astrology to this country. And at that time, people were familiar with oxen, not with buffaloes. So they called it the water buffalo, the ox. But it's really the water buffalo. That's the name of that animal. So now we have a very strong, powerful, but also docile animal, such as the water buffalo, considered to be highly responsible.
Highly responsible.
If we look at Western astrology, Capricorn is a sign in which Christhood takes place. Christhood meaning that a human being has reached the very highest level of understanding and agreement with nature and with life, where spirit is extremely evolved. This is what the indication is. It doesn't mean that everybody that's born as a Capricorn is going to be a Christ figure. But if you reach Christhood, it is because you've mastered the lessons that are supposedly coming to fruition in the sign um, Capricorn. Now, so we now have an animal like the horse, which in this case is the second nature because it's his month.
That's the Gemini, right?
China will go by year first and then by month. And the year is the year of the buffalo, and that comes first. And then the month, which is, I like to split it up to be more easier for people to understand. And that is that the month deals with the mind and how the mind processes, while the year deals with the heart or the instinctual values, those parts of you that you feel comfortable with. So in that regard, we have, this is her son.
Yes.
This is your son. You have somebody who has the propensity to be kind, to be gentle, and to be paying attention to what's going on the outside. For the buffalo is said to be conscious of society, conscious of what position they hold in life, what title that they get to,
Right.
what's their job title, what is their responsibility is number one. The buffalo is concerned with the status of home, or should I say country,
Right.
money,
Homeland. Yeah.
position in society,
Right.
whether you're a priest or you're a corporate executive. These are all under the buffalo, while the horse the horse corresponds to Gemini, and Gemini is about mental processes. For Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is a planet in Western astrology that is concerned with the activity of the mind. The sign Aries, which is my sign, it rules the head because it's the first sign. But the processes of the head are ruled under Gemini, which is the third sign. And so we have the volatile mind moving about. The intellectual part of the being is ruled by Gemini, which is also concerned with language, with speech, with movement, with their hands, with their shoulders, with their hands, because Gemini represents brothers and sisters, and you connect because of your arms, because you can connect with them by touch. So these are all under Gemini. And Gemini having a lot of endurance, whereas the buffalo has a lot of patience. Both of them are considered animals of a lot of strength. So you have a really balanced kind of horse. This type of horse, this type of Gemini, is going to show more consistency, to be more down to earth, not to be so volatile in their minds. You won't see the duality as rapidly with a buffalo horse, because the buffalo is definitely oriented. It's in the position of a cardinal sign. Now, to understand astrology, what does cardinal mean? Cardinal means that the sign is covering a period in which season begins.
It's
in
moving
Capricorn,
forward.
It's moving forward, and cardinal people are always on the go. They don't need anybody to instruct them to do something. They are self-motivating. So my sign Aries is the cardinal spring, the beginning of spring. Cancer is the beginning of summer. Libra is the beginning of fall. And Capricorn, where the buffalo resides, is the beginning of winter. So we have a person, your son, who has the ability to be self-motivated, to do what it's necessary to do. And of course, when we look at the buffalo, we have a mythological figure, which as historians are now believing that this is not just a mythological figure, that there was such a person as King Arthur. And King Arthur would be the representative of what Capricorn is about, or what the buffalo is about. It's about keeping a good sense, keeping a sort of a cooperation amongst people.
Ooh, this guy should be really funny too. This guy should have some good jokes.
And the horse, of course, is about being elegant and being in striding with precision. Of course, let's remember that the horse has two sides. It has the positive side and the negative side. The negative side of the horse is like a mare. It hangs out in the barn. It's a workhorse. It doesn't have a lot of character. Whereas the more active type of horse would be like the stallion, who is proud and he runs with force in all directions. What the buffalo does is it gives it purpose. It gives it stability, concreteness, something that you can count on, and a person who is reflective, not just reactive. The horse is a very reactive sign. So we have a very nice combination.
Welcome, Newport. It's so good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Now, this buffalo child of yours may display certain kinds of, let's say, rebelliousness. Most of the cardinal signs will have rebellion in their personality. Why? Because it is self-motivated, it has self-will, and it always has to test that will against the prevailing order around them, the people who rule, like the parents and the teachers and the police force and those types of things. So the combination of the buffalo is going to have some say in their willpower. But because the month is horse, which is Gemini, maybe
You
I
have a
better get
little
some
water.
little water here.
This is someone who I always like to throw in a little bit, kind of when we're talking about social climbing-ish for Capricorns or for the buffalo,
But you won't notice it
but you won't notice it. And
because
they're
the
not
Gemini.
right. And they're not just doing it just for the sake of doing it, which is, that would be something where like a Leo might do or something like that, because that's just, they like to shine and goof off. It's really because they look around them and they see problems in the world and they feel responsible for fixing them. And they know they have to climb to the top in order to be able to do it. So every time you see one of these qualities, they're a materialist, or there's always, when we look at the signs, there's always a corresponding reason for why it ends up being like that. And of course we can go out of balance, but I just always want to make that point.
But this person is born in the month of the horse.
I know.
And so you're not going to see
You won't see it.
this
I know.
prim and proper and
Right.
upholding of the law at every
No.
turn.
Nope.
You're going to have a quality that's very sociable, very easy to mix
You
in
can
with
get
others,
away with some
to
stuff.
keep lighthearted
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
to keep a variety of interests going on at the same time, so that if they had friends at their party, there would be a good mix.
Yeah.
It would not all be
Exactly.
celebrities or let's say dignitaries of the city or the town. There would be a good mix.
Right. Yeah. Tell them to juggle. Tell them to learn how to juggle. It's always a good party trick, by the way. With the hands, you should be good at it.
But the one prevailing quality which both will emit is, and that is there is some kind of speciality that they assign to themselves.
Yes.
Because the buffalo is proud in the sense that it knows its society, and the horse is proud because it knows itself. That's one of the reasons why the horse, the animal itself, is so almost living perfection and movement and style. They are so well adapted to be in nature that they actually represent the environment.
Christine.
So this person should also have a love for the earth and the contents of the earth.
Yes.
They would be more involved with their relationship to the earth than it is with their relationship to people, although it could be equal.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about this?
I'm trying. I think that's a pretty good. I mean, if you
So
have any
we'll
other
see
questions,
this-
of course, but we have another request as well.
Okay.
So it is from our dear Christine, who was born, look at you. She was born 8/8/1979, and her husband or significant other is 11/28/1978.
Oh,
So we have a Leo, year of the
we
goat,
have
or
a
the
Leo
sheep.
goat, and we have a
Earth.
Sagittarian horse.
Yes.
Interesting. Now,
I see a few of these couplings, actually.
when we say Sagittarius horse, so let's understand that in China, the horse belongs to Gemini, not the Sagittarius.
Siri.
In Western astrology, Sagittarius is half man, half horse. But in China, it belongs to the
Siri.
sign of the mouse. Again, we want to just correct some things about some of these terms that are used in the United States. When Admiral Perry brought astrology from Japan to the United States, people did not want to be called mice. because the saying went back then, as I knew it as a child, are you a man or are you a mouse? So they would rather be called rats and mice,
Right.
but the Chinese refer to it as mice. However, I have to make a slight correction to no matter what the Chinese name it or what we name it. One thing is for sure, that the sign of the mouse really represents all rodents. So an individual could be a raccoon type
Right.
of rodent. It
I've
could
seen
be
people that look like woodchucks.
a woodchuck type of
We
rodent.
have them in
It
our
could be
backyard, and they're the cutest.
a squirrel type of. So in other words, it belongs to the rodent family, and you have
Right.
to know the individual to see just what type of rodent it represents. The mouse being the most gentle of the bunch, or maybe the gerbil and the chipmunk, while the rat is one of the meanest of the
The
rodents.
toughest, really.
You think so?
Yeah, I think rats are pretty tough. They're pretty hardy and tough.
The woodchuck is not.
Oh, the woodchuck is, yeah. But they're
The
still
raccoon is not.
the raccoon. I would say the rats actually are better at
They're
surviving.
meaner. Yeah, they're meaner. The rats are
The
definitely
woodchucks
meaner.
are a little more vulnerable, a little more delicate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
So
they're
in any
almost
event, all right. So
endangered,
now,
yeah.
what do we have? We have someone who is born a Leo, month of the monkey, and the year corresponds to what we call here the goat or the sheep. Now, China makes very clear that is not to be called the year of the ram, even though it may be the year of the sheep. They've set the ram as not describable by any of the 12 years. Well, if any is describable, it would be the dragon, which is the month of Aries. But the sheep and the goat are occupying the month of Cancer, uh, while the sun sign, the month that this is the wife.
Oh no, the wife is August 8th.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh
August
yes,
8th.
yes, the August, yeah,
So
August 8th,
this is
1979. Yeah.
so the year would be corresponding to the goat or the sheep, and this is the feminine sign in the Chinese zodiac.
Yeah.
Uh, Leo is in China the month of the monkey. So we have a very clever person who is also tough. Goats are considered very tough. They are good survivors because they will live on anything. When I was growing up, it says, well, goats will even eat tin cans.
Don't eat tin cans.
Going to the extreme of saying the goat will eat anything as long as it's edible, they'll eat it. So they're resourceful, they're strategists, they are the good chess players.
Yeah.
We have, what's his name?
Oh, you love this guy too. I can't think of it.
Billy. No, I forgot. But it'll come to me.
Yeah,
He's
I'll
a
look
great
it up.
chess player. Born in the year of the goat. You happen to be born in the year of the earth goat. Now, Earth comes after fire. Goats, according to China, are most comfortable in the element of fire. Fire would be the 67 goat, 12 years before. And each time that an animal repeats, and it takes 12 years, since there are 12.
Bobby Fischer.
Bobby Fischer, right. Bobby Fischer was a Pisces,
Should have known that.
born in 1943, which is
Sorry,
the water
okay.
goat. And he was the one who beat the Russian chess player, and he beat, I forgot the name of the computer, something blue. He beat the computer once or twice, and eventually they were able to program the computer and finally beat him. But this is the goat. The goat is a good strategist. They know what's going on in all directions. One of the things that are said about goats is that when they look across the field, the grass looks greener on the other side of the pasture, which means that the temptation is one of the problems for the goat. But temptation in the positive sense means that they seek pleasure from within. So goats are about what is going on the inside. It represents family, while the Leo, the monkey, represents the experience of pleasure. They're about providing pleasure to themselves, to the point of pleasure for themselves only. We know that monkeys like to touch themselves. We also know that monkeys, excuse me for a moment, that monkeys tend to ratify themselves if they can't have gratification coming from a partner. So monkeys are notorious for masturbating because they need sex all the time. And in fact, in Western astrology, Leo occupies the house of children and love. So, and it also represents dignity and high regard for their presence and for their activity in life. They're very creative. The goat, on the other hand, has an ability to have its finger on the pulse of everything. They make good nurses, they make good healers because they understand the inner workings of the person on the inside. So what we have here now is a Leo female who is more in touch with her healing powers,
What a
her
powerful
sensitivity,
combination.
her sensitivity to the living conditions of others, and they make people who are good at taking care of people who need help, that need assistance. They also make very good teachers, but they're also very creative. One of the race goat type of people that we know is Michelangelo. Michelangelo was able to draw the Sistine Chapel upside down on large scaffolds, and he was able to paint something on a round ceiling that when you were at the bottom, it looked like it was a flat piece of work. This is the ability of the goat to understand its inner nature. What comes with all of this inner nature is complication. There's a lot of feeling that the goat goes through, and a lot of it is complicated. So goats are difficult to be around because they present all kinds of ailments that are not necessarily true. What is the real problem behind the goat? They tend to worry about things that could exist in possibilities. So there's a possibility of something going wrong. Well, the goat is going to dwell on that until it becomes a problem that never did exist. And they tend to deal with things in advance of where they're forthcoming. So they tend to imagine things that are not going right because the goat represents a peacefulness within themselves, that they have to reach a point where they're comfortable within themselves in their clothes, and
That's really
and
nice.
that takes a lot of doing because they need to be around people who will understand them but not necessarily join them.
Right.
Now we have this woman who is a complicated Leo, soft in many ways, but can be a trickster in some ways
And
because
the combination would also make them very competitive, no?
and
The Leo and
this
the
combination will be a trickster. Will pull
Yes.
tricks on others, and they may have a side to them that's a comedic, like
Yes.
comedian.
I have a lot of Year of the Goat friends,
And they like comedy.
and all we do is goof
Now
off.
we're dealing with the husband
Can't help
being a
it.
Sagittarian, who was born in the month that belongs to the rat or the rodent, and the year is the horse, which belongs to the month of Gemini. So the husband is month and year are opposite signs. What do we mean by that? Well, Gemini is the opposite sign of Sagittarius. Gemini is the end of spring. Sagittarius is the last month of fall. When we have this opposition between the month and the year, what we have is the deductive mind, that is the brain, in opposition to the inductive mind, which is the mind of the body, the mind of the inner self, the instinctual nature. Since they're in opposition, this individual is able to see two sides of every argument. So if there's two friends of his that are arguing opposite positions, he will be able to see both sides of that issue and not make enemies with either one of them. As he gets older and older, he begins to see both sides of everything. And that makes him neither too much like a Sag, nor too much like the horse. So he'll have a good blend of wanting to make long trips and philosophize everything. And then the other side of him, which would be the Gemini,
Very adventurous.
the horse, which likes to move about in its environment, dabbles with everything. They like to have conversations. They like to be, if they're involved with writings, it will usually be short writings. Travels will be close travels. They won't necessarily want to go around the world, but they will travel within what is within their means. So they want to touch upon everything. They will make friends on light conversations. Whereas the Sagittarius side, which is the mouse, it wants to be, it is a teacher. It is a philosopher. It is bringing knowledge to its fullest extent. So we have someone who is pretty universal, rather difficult to live with because he occupies both sides. So he has a tendency to be a know-it-all, a tendency to know everything because he's entertained everything. How will this fare with the Leo goat? Not bad, not bad.
Right.
Leo goat does not have a problem with someone knowing everything because the Leo goat will relate to anyone who satisfies them with either knowledge or activity. So this can work. The only problem that would arise here is if the goat becomes too difficult and untenable, that they may spend too much time on imagined problems. This could be cumbersome for the Sag, because the Sag doesn't want to be held down to anything permanent. Keeping in mind that while the horse dominates its environment, that's the year that the husband is born, the mind is like the rat. It wants to travel in its own mind. And it can be at times appearing to be aloof or not interested. But when it is in touch, it should be pretty complete. And goats are not hard to satisfy if you simply give some attention to what they want. The fact is that we have Sagittarius, which is in the West, a fire sign, and the wife being a Leo, which is a fire sign. And this is a strong indicator in the West that these two will get along, especially given that Leo is a fixed fire sign and Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign, meaning then that the fixed won't move and the Sagittarian fire, which is mutable or changeable, will at times not move just like Leo, and at other times yield and move. So it can deal with the fixed sign Leo, and they should make a very nice couple.
So my commentary on this, I was just more thinking along the lines of some things that I wanted to add to it. And welcome, Raj, and welcome from India. Everybody, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming. So my thoughts were, I was thinking about, because the goat corresponds to Cancer, and what that really represents to me, like from a woman's point of view, is, it's the rivers, it's the distribution, it's the primordial mother. So, right, and we're all
It's about
thinking,
happiness and home.
right, and we all think of the primordial mother as Mother Earth, love it all. No.
No, this is the mother that soothes.
This is the real mother.
That brings comfort.
Yeah.
That brings security at home.
Yes.
It brings the primordial quality of bringing security and protection.
And she does not want her distribution organization to be messed with. She doesn't want it threatened. She doesn't want it violated. She wants it to be respected.
Well, which makes her a difficult mother,
which
by
can
the
make
way.
it which can make it
Because
difficult.
the
right.
goat has high standards and usually is set for themselves and may be overbearing to the child, especially because we have a Leo here.
Oh.
However, when Leo is, let's say, humble, then it will be an incredibly good parent.
So what I wanted to just sort of touch on is that one of the things that's interesting that you may run into problems with the Sag is that especially a Sag horse, right? Even though this is a masculine sign, they like to show off. They want to be noticed. They want to be seen. And it may seem like they don't take your concerns seriously. So the problem with being a show off is actually that's a feminine quality. So So when you have a man who is masculine and is showing off with someone who is like the primordial mother, then it ends up being like they're in competition with you, and that's just not attractive to a woman. It's just not.
Well, I don't see the horse combined with the mouse being a show off because
Well,
they're
I'm talking
aware of the
about,
two extremes, even in themselves.
of course, but when it gets to that state, that can be where things start to get messy
The
emotionally.
showiness would be more
Right.
of the way this person
Right,
appears
Right.
rather than the projects. He doesn't project it.
right. So, so basically, though, the Sag wants to feed everybody too, so you're in good shape, right? Jupiter's actually exalted in the sign Cancer. So, right,
Mhm.
you put Cancer and you put Jupiter, a planet of expansion, with the Moon,
Well,
a planet of
what we mean is
multiplicity.
the
Right.
Sag will be
That's how you
comfortable.
feed the masses, right?
The Sag should be comfortable with this year.
Right, exactly. So where things can get into turmoil a little bit is that he may overlook your feminine qualities because he gets too caught up in his own stuff. That's really annoying. Um, and he may
Well, it's typical of males.
right, right. And he may take risks that you aren't comfortable with and not give you enough time to at least tell him what your concerns are and be reassuring. He might be dismissive, and that can be really
His
frustrating.
orientation as being a man is very well put together.
Yeah, but yeah,
He
he's going to
doesn't
be.
have any doubts about his maleness.
Yeah, typically this combination is a one-man woman, or a one-woman man.
Whereas
whatever.
she is complemented by both a feminine and masculine sign.
Yes, absolutely.
So that makes her quite competent.
Yes.
And it's maybe at times even a challenge to the husband.
Right. Well, because both of you, right, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Mhm.
And then you have the Sagittarius on top, like you throw those guys together.
Well, the Sagittarian knows where the green grass is.
The Sag knows where the green grass is. He's like, yeah, you're right. Here's some more green grass.
Well, they'll show you where it really is hiding.
Right.
Where you didn't look.
Yeah, it really is like, who are you going to get when you're trying to distribute the goods? Why not have a Sag who can see everything?
He has good instincts.
He'll be like, I'll help you do that.
He has good instincts.
So, and the thing is that these are also demonic signs, the three demonic signs. And when we say demon, and people from India will appreciate this more.
Right,
it's more like
demon
daimon.
is not
It's more like a
understood.
nature spirit. It's not some crazy.
No, but even if you take it from
stuff
Latin,
that we see in horror movies,
day
it's
is
ridiculous.
God and on is one.
Right.
So it's a piece of God.
A piece of God.
That's all demon means.
Right.
And if over time they've used it the wrong way, just like the word hell in German, old German, it meant a pothole. If you go to hell, it means you've tripped into a pothole.
Oh, now he's saying
now
pot. I have to tell you my joke.
Now all of a sudden, hell became a horrible place with fire and everything, when that's not at all what it meant when it was used in the beginning.
I have a joke for you. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Made me think of it. Okay, so those of you who know my frame of reference will get it. So why did they call a roach clip a roach clip? Because potholder was already taken. Okay, SNL. So yeah, so what I wanted to say about the demon qualities, it's the snake, the horse, and the goat. What you're going to have in common is you're both going to have a healthy respect for each other's tendency to rebel and defy the
establishment. And remember, it is out of fire that all things are created.
About that each other. Yeah.
It is out of fire that all things are created. So demon is really the creation of life.
Right.
That's what it boils down to.
Cancer, the goat, that's the first physical manifestation of consciousness.
Cancer.
Yeah.
Gemini, it starts with Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer.
Right.
Those three are the fire group of China.
Yeah, the terrestrial
in the West,
astrology.
They're not that way at all. In the West, Taurus is earth, Gemini is air, and Cancer is water. So we will describe these things over and over again so that we can give you a flavor of what astrology really is and not what you read in the paper, what many astrologers don't go this far because it is so complicated. And as you can see, we have some disagreement because it isn't that we really disagree, it is that we have a different way of expressing the very same things. But that gives you an idea of how difficult it is to use astrology It is not this little storybook that you read out of a book.
Oh,
It really requires the mix and matching of various energies, and
right,
we're only dealing with the surface aspect of
right.
astrology. There is so much more that is incredibly deeper, but we'll leave that for those people who are becoming more and more deep, and they begin to understand what is implied by the various descriptions of the signs.
Right. So
And
I
the
just,
time
so
is
what,
up.
yeah, I just wanted to, yeah, we're getting close here. I just wanted to just emphasize that the best place for this relationship, you guys are great with ideas.
You're still talking about the goat and
Yeah, yeah.
the horse?
This is a really great way to connect is over ideas. So together, you guys can really do a lot. You have all of the elements to mix together and do a lot. And with the Sag and the Leo, you're both going to want to be benevolent and generous.
What I can say
and
about
right
this marriage
to
or
other people.
these two
Yeah.
people,
And you guys also both know how to keep things under wraps when it's
yeah,
time.
if they get along, they will know why they get along.
Right,
And if they were to part, neither one would regret the departure.
right,
That's because of their makeup.
right.
Even though the goat will not want to separate because they become attached, and the horse, even though it likes to be separated, will kind of be lost when they don't have a
I
strong
find,
figure
yeah,
to follow.
I find in general horsemen, they tend to be lifers. They can be,
They
but
can be,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
And they need someone to follow. So
right.
the only problem with separation with this is that the horse will feel a little lost for some time. The goat, on the other hand, might carry on with this emotion of being distraught from separation, but it will cling to something else right away because the goat corresponds to the month of Cancer. And what we know about the crab, which is the representative of Cancer, if it loses an arm, it grows one right back very quickly.
Oh,
So,
we have to warn her about being a scapegoat too,
oh,
because that really has a place.
yeah, well, she can set herself up that
She
way.
can set herself
But
up.
I don't think the Leo.
My older brother's a fire
I
goat.
don't think the
We
Leo
were
goat
so
is going to
close.
be
We
so
still are.
prone. The Leo goat is
Well,
pretty
she's
much on
smart.
top of what she wants.
She's, yeah.
So she may pretend that would be lost, but um, she will not tolerate being the scapegoat.
Oh, so but if you're with a group of friends, you always have to watch out for this. And like, just say you're
Well, somebody
outside
will
and
blame
somebody
her.
throws a ball through the window,
Uh,
everybody runs, and you're standing there.
and you're
That's what
standing
happens to
right.
goats.
And goats tend to, because goats tend to be committed. They don't
Right.
run away.
Right.
Goats are very, very committed. They're
Yeah.
very loyal. It's one of their qualities, even though they complain about everything.
Right. Which is also why you need that added protection
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're committed. So
And the Gemini, the Sagittarian horse, is flexible enough to roll with the punches. When things
yeah,
are not right, they'll not run away.
yeah,
Horses will not run away unless if they run away. China says very simple about the horse. If the horse leaves you and doesn't come back, then he was never yours. If he leaves you and he comes back, he is yours forever. That's how I'll close.
okay. Okay, so we are going to wrap it up. Oh, this is what I wanted to mention to you while I'm just talking about the other recommendations that we have for people for you to listen to. I wanted to share with everyone, and now I have a lot of people in here. I was thinking of moving our time to 2 p.m. Eastern time, so an hour ahead.
So next week.
Next week, you can tell me how you feel about it. The reason is because I have whatever this process I have to go through every morning, allergies and everything else. And I seem to be
We
a
also
little
have 3 time
right,
zones to deal with.
right. I seem to be a little better at that time. There's less interruption. And the other thing is that there is a tarot reader that does her tarot reading every day at noon. So I really don't. And it's Central Time, which is the same time that we do. I don't want to be in conflict with that because I want to watch her show too. But if this is a good time for you or 2 p.m. is a good time for you, please let me know in the comments while I'm making recommendations for good reading material.
Okay, right.
Um,
I will say goodbye. till the next cast.
I think I lost my notes.
And you
Oh my
want to
goodness.
give a shout out.
Yes, I want to give a shout out and I lost my notes. Well, let's see if I can wing
I
it.
thought I saw them over there.
I know. I'm a real sag, man. I know where everything is, but nobody else does.
I don't know who it is.
Except I
But
hide things for
we'll
myself.
skip it this time, and we'll do it
So
the
yeah,
next
so the
time.
shout out. So I always some good reads. Another book that I really like. Certain things that would be nice for us to have foundational knowledge of. The Creature from Jekyll Island is about the formation of the Federal Reserve. Very interesting. The person that wrote it is and for those of you that aren't from the US, the Federal Reserve, that's basically our central bank in the US, and it basically controls the entire world economy. So that was actually written, I can't even remember the author, but by the author who also created Who's Who in America. So that's one of those nice, dry, neutral reads that you can just think about. Also, Jane Roberts, Seth Speaks is her famous book, an incredible medium, an incredible channeler, really, really good material. One of my another famous favorite philosopher is Bruce Lipton. He is a microbiologist who has moved on to more of a quantum approach toward health. He was a professor at Michigan State. He has really good stuff, and he gives a lot of fantastic lectures. So check out his stuff. And let's see if I can get, well, we already mentioned Black and Orange Tarot. So let's go. Shout out to Black and Orange Tarot, Celtic Tarot, Linda G, the Comanche Psychic, Psychic Violetta, The Spirit Within. I'm going through my
Sterling.
Sterling. Yeah, Sterling. Remember again, Sterling. I just realized he's an
Joni
Aries.
Mitchell or whatever her name is.
Oh, no, Joni Mitchell. Joni Patri, the Vedic astrologer. And also, it's not coming with, The Way of Positive Change with Lori. So all of these people are great to check out, when you're not here, or check me out when you're not there, whatever. And that's it. So everybody have a beautiful and blessed day. All of our love and our scandal. Travel light, everybody.